Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today, sitting down for a good old Xbox news update. Happy Friday to all of you. Are you playing any games this weekend? I'm going to be playing Weird West, available day one on Game Pass. Not to sound too much like an Xbot, but check it out if you're into arcane games and immersive sims. It's really cool. Maybe we'll talk about it in a review next week if y'all want that. Let me know down below. But anyway, you've tuned in to the Ideal Xbox News Update. There's a lot of good news and fun things to go through. More Starfield Leaks. That 2018 build continues to haunt Bethesda. However, a pretty popular actor is talking about being in Starfield in some way, shape, or form. So, speculitis in our veins, we're going to talk about that one. Not only that, but there's a positive update on the Activision front, so we absolutely want to get into that and celebrate what is some very good news on that front, and even some more day one Game Pass games as Xbox continues to roll out, while not these big AAA bangers day one on Game Pass, some pretty cool smaller titles, indie titles, that are definitely still worth your attention, even if they're not going to get the loudest pop. However, most importantly, you may have noticed I have some beautiful materials here on my torso. And you may be wondering, Matty, where do you get such amazing chest cloth? Well, ladies and gentlemen, this video is brought to you by Into the AM. Yeah, I gotta admit, this style, it hasn't been doing it for me. I think I need more of, you know, a bad boy look, if you will. It's time to make some changes. Into the AM is a premium clothing brand that began in 2012, guided by a bunch of artists who wanted to elevate self-expression. Now, when they reached out to me, they said, look, before we do any integration nonsense, let's get a couple of shirts on you first. So I put one on, and my goodness, the material here is insane. I'm a big material guy. Comfort is everything as someone who does a lot of podcasts. So for me, this was a big deal that these shirts were really comfortable and they look good. Not only that, but the price point and bundles are fantastic. 3 graphic tees for $60, 3 basic tees for $50, and that's not even including my 10% discount. So if you're interested in this and achieving the bad boy look, then click the link in the description and get 10% off on these very comfortable shirts. Normally, I just move straight into the video, but all I gotta say is I'm very proud of that ad as a Spider-Man 3 fan, unironically so. That movie is hilarious. I love it. So thank you so much for watching that. Now, let's talk about Starfield first and foremost. Ladies and gentlemen, like many of you, I'm excited for this game, right? Todd Howard, A-Team, brand new IP, the unknown. There's so much to be excited about with Starfield. However, I wouldn't blame you if you started to think a little bit that Bethesda may be taking a page out of the Ubisoft playbook and saying, what if we just kept leaking our own stuff here? Because there's been another batch of leaked screenshots for the 2018 build of Starfield. For those who are unfamiliar, a while ago, about a year and a half ago, was our first leak of Starfield where we saw what was in-game screenshots. It has been reported multiple times that was a 2018 build of the game. You can just tell by the way it looks with how much, or really how little, detail is in the environment, the lacking of clutter in the environment. Like, it's very much in a testing phase there, so it would make sense it's at least early in development. This build has continued to haunt Bethesda as there have been more and more and more screenshots continuously churned out. And one thing I did want to point out with this latest batch of screenshots, yes, it's a bunch of inconsequential screenshots. They're not going to hype you up, and they're not really going to disappoint you. And if you're going on either side of the fence, I don't know what to tell you other than you're a little crazy for that one. Nothing about this is exciting, but also nothing about this is bad. However, for Bethesda Game Studios, this could be seen as a slight good, believe it or not. The reason I say this is they made a lot of games I really love, but they've never made a decent looking game. What I mean by that is Skyrim, Fallout 4, these newer Bethesda Game Studios games, even 76 to a lesser extent, are kind of pretty in their own ways, right? They're a little more colorful, but fidelity, texture quality, never quite been there. Some of these new screenshots that have appeared are pretty sharp on the texture front. Again, this does not determine if it's a good game. It doesn't mean I'm going to blow this out of proportion. But for a Bethesda Game Studios game, the significance in this is there is a brand new engine powering Starfield, right? Creation Engine 2. And this will likely be the same engine they use for Elder Scrolls 6. This engine has serious implications on the future of BGS. beyond even Elder Scrolls 6, as we've seen how long they've stuck with the first creation engine. So it's important they nail it and set a good first impression. So with Starfield seemingly in some of the assets there looking a bit sharper compared to what we've seen from them previously, I was just kind of happy to see that. Of course, I want to see the full game. I will not blow this out of proportion, but this was kind of a nice realization, because a lot of these screenshots, like some of these new ones you're seeing here, were blurry and not as sharp. So again, it looks like someone's going into this build taking new screenshots and continuously popping them out. You can get a good look at some of the prefabs for the game, some of the assets that you'll likely see on a variety of space stations, I'd imagine. Given that this game is set on multiple planets, I don't think this begins to even scratch the surface of what we'll actually see in the full game. But anyway, just some new screenshots. Perhaps more interesting though is, I gotta read the name here. Stephen Ford. As you may or may not know, am not a TV buff at all. I watch a good amount of anime and the occasional comic book movie. That about cuts it. Because for me, I'm such an enthusiast in manga, anime, video games, that for me, like, TV is sort of my, shut off the brain, be a casual, and just enjoy what I want to enjoy, right? Don't gotta go into the deep cuts everywhere. And so, Stephen Ford, maybe a name you recognize, he tweeted, "Psst, if you're excited for Starfield, like this tweet so I can follow you for reasons I can't say yet." And here's his IMDb page. A lot of people seem to be referencing his time over on Teen Wolf. Again, not something I'm familiar with. Maybe you see something on this list that you are somewhat familiar with. For me personally, where I started to connect the dots is with this tweet here from Bethesda Game Studios, where years ago, around the time that I imagine Starfield was entering complete full development, "Hey, Tom Cruise, we're huge fans. Loved your take on Oblivion and now Fallout. Wanted to get a head start on our next thing? #call me." Very rare to see Bethesda Game Studios do anything really like this. And since then, Todd Howard had confirmed in an interview last year with The Telegraph that there was no Tom Cruise in Starfield, as of this moment in time at least. And that means that we're probably not going to get a Keanu Reeves moment unless something drastically changed in development. That would be kind of surprising. But what I was thinking of is, who is this big actor? Why are they talking about Starfield? I had some thoughts. Number one, yeah, it could be as simple as a celebrity cameo. Could just be a voice inside the game. Bethesda has gotten TV voices for their characters in game. For example, Courtney Ford is really big on CW, especially after Fallout 4, but she was a television star when she did the role as Piper in Fallout 4. So Bethesda has commingled in that area before. This wouldn't come as much of a surprise if it's just a voice for the game. However, the other idea I had, my galaxy brain moment here, was a live action trailer. They did this with Fallout 4. They've done this with 76. They've always done a live action trailer. And I would love it if right now, while we're getting these Into the Starfield videos, we're getting these documentary style things, the developer Q&As, while we're getting all of that, now would be a great time for Bethesda to just get it out of the way. Get it out of the way. Go on, just drop it now. Drop it in May. Get it out of the way, okay? Because again, what I've said to people is they're still going to wait till June to show off gameplay, but I think they're going to market this one a bit heavier, and that's what they've done here. With Fallout 4, it was silence. June hit, boom, we're making Fallout 4, and it's coming out in November. That was a crazy moment unlike anything we've seen before. With Starfield, they just can't afford to take that risk. It's why they revealed it with a full trailer last year. Since then, they've been doing interviews, concept art, and I would not be shocked if they decided, let's do a little live action trailer that they can start to put in commercials leading up to the release of the game. Of course, ramping that up more after the gameplay is out there, considering that's what Bethesda is typically known for. So to me, I do think there's more than what meets the eye here. It could be as simple as a voice actor, but it could be a bit more. So we'll see in due time, but I thought that was kind of exciting to see we're getting to that point, right? But anyway, I'll spare you all my speculitis until another Starfield video. Let's move on to Activision. So as we know, Xbox is acquiring Activision. It feels like every other week there's a new legal fiasco with them. So you'll be relieved to see there's good news. This comes from Jason Schreier, where he writes, Activision Blizzard just told staff that all of its 1,100 quality assurance testers will be, 1, converted from contract to full-time, and 2, bumped up to at least $20 an hour. A big win for QA in the wake of several worker revolts and a burgeoning union effort. Story soon. He does clarify, saying that on his wording, 1,100 is the number of temporary and contract QA testers that are being converted to full-time, according to Activision Blizzard. There are other testers at the company who were already full-time staff. So it wasn't like everyone was a contractor. So this is obviously pretty good news because QA is one of the most underappreciated parts of the video game industry. Of course, all game development is a team effort, right? Everyone needs to do their job right, whether it be environmental artists, level design, writing, gameplay programming, QA. Everyone needs to do their part. It's not a one-man show in most cases. I think it's something like, I'd imagine Stardew Valley, I think was just a one-man show. But even then, testing has to be done to some extent by multiple people because you have to keep running through the game, keep testing all the mechanics. QA is so underappreciated. They get paid jack diddly do, unfortunately, even though they're the ones that make the game happen, right? I always say this, I'm gonna say it again. If you have a game with a phenomenal story, fun mechanics, but you're fighting a boss who has 999 health and each attack you do 3 damage, the game falls apart, right? It's not fun because something is absolutely getting in the way. And QA is all about things like that. Making sure the experience is reaching the intent of design, right? If it is supposed to be difficult, how difficult? What difficulty feels right, feels fair? And that constant feedback is what guides the design of these games. It's an important back and forth relationship. So it's very good to see Activision is not laying them all off like they were originally planning to do, and instead are hiring them on full time for all of the AAA games they're working on. You know, Activision was going down a really bad path here. They had to delay Overwatch 2. Now they're splitting up the release of that. They had to delay Diablo 4. A lot of games that they were releasing just got scattershot. And they were in a pretty dark spot. Now with Xbox coming in, Microsoft coming in, all that moolah, I would not be surprised if, again, this is one of those things where this is not Microsoft doing it, but Activision is preemptively doing it. Number one, because it's the right thing and they're trying to turn their company image around. But number two is it's going to be someone else's problem in a matter of moments. Anyway, really excellent to see that. Congrats to anyone working at Activision Blizzard in the QA department that has now secured a full-time position. Godspeed to you all. Let's talk day one Game Pass now to wrap things up. So one of my biggest criticisms of Game Pass this year has been that they haven't gotten the one, right? They have their first party games with Starfield and presumably Redfall if it doesn't get delayed. We still haven't heard much about that one, but yet we're hearing more about Starfield, which is kind of weird because it's apparently deeper in the year. I've always said that they need to get a big one, right? A huge day one third party Game Pass game. And especially it'd be a slam dunk on my behalf if it were a single player game. Now, they don't really need one in the fall, but that doesn't mean that they're not getting day one games, right? They are getting the indie titles. They are getting the AA titles. Coming soon is Citizen Sleeper. This game is actually really interesting because it's defined as an RPG inspired by the tabletop experience where you explore a station, choose your friends, and escape your past to then change your future. This one's coming out May 5th, and then also coming out day one on May 5th is from Devolver Digital, Trek to Yomi, which is kind of in a weird way Xbox's 2D answer to Ghost of Tsushima. And if you're a Ghost of Tsushima fan like I am, you got to be checking this one out. So there's some cool indie bangers happening already in May. I'm glad Xbox is filling out this part of the year. You know, I remember last year, which was a really strong year for Xbox. The first half of the year outside of the medium is what comes to mind was a really quiet year for Xbox. Then the second half hit and they really hit the ground running. It looks like this year is going to be more of that. However, this first half, they have done a better job having those indies, having those AA games day one. So I am looking very forward to that. With that, ladies and gentlemen, though, that is all I got for you in today's Xbox news update. So let me know what you are thinking in the comments down below. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. And a big thank you to all the patrons, all the members who continue to support the content here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.